Hey everybody, welcome back to the HireUA channel. My name is Kyle, I'm the owner and founder, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience living in Ukraine. So I became a digital nomad, as much as I kind of despise that term now, back in 2016. I was an engineer. I had a very good job, actually. I was making six figures, 22, 23 years old at the time. But ultimately, I decided that I wanted to do something a lot different with my life, and I wanted to move to Eastern Europe. And it was my first trip to Poland in 2014. I was, where did I go? To Wrocław, Poland. And I just knew one night out, and I knew like this was the region, this was the part of the world that I was meant to be at. So I started making steps to make that happen. And ultimately I moved out permanently to Eastern Europe. I quit the engineering job in 2016 and began my journey. So the first place I went to was Kraków, Poland, which was a cool city. I liked a lot of things about it. But then the next place I went, I really liked, and that was Kyiv, Ukraine, where I ultimately ended up settling and owned property there. Did a lot of cool things there. Obviously, I've left that whole situation with everything that happened with the war. It's no longer home, but it was some of the best times of my life, and I certainly do miss it every day. In this video, I'm going to be talking about things that I liked about living there and some things that I didn't, and we'll kind of just go into all of it. So if you're looking to move abroad, the first thing that almost everybody thinks about is the cost of living, and rightfully so. So geo arbitrage is one of the most powerful things you can do at the current moment in the current world. If you're able to make US dollars or UK pounds, well, that's kind of questionable these days, or Canadian dollars, also questionable, Aussie dollars, also questionable, but you get my point, right? If you're able to make Western money and then work online and move somewhere else, it can be incredibly powerful because you can use geo arbitrage to still make good money while taking advantage of a lower cost of living. We could go into the ethics of that and whether that's okay or whether it's not, but the reality is it has happened, it's started, and it is certainly here to stay. I know a lot of people, a lot of locals in a lot of areas are certainly not happy about it, but it just is what it is. That's the current world we live in. There's nothing we can do to change that. So let's focus on Ukraine. So the first thing, the cost of living. I was paying $1,300 for a 2-bedroom apartment. So one of them was my office, one of them was like a master bedroom, and it also even had a little fish tank and aquarium in it. It was 125 square meters, which is roughly 1,345 square feet. And it was right in the middle of the capital city. If you go on Google Maps and you look for Taras Shevchenko Park. So it was right by the park, it was right by the Red University. It was a 2-minute walk to Metro Plosha Lewatow-Sztowo, and was also very close to many other metro lines. So that was all right in the center, right in the middle of the action. Couldn't have asked for a better place to live as far as location. The apartment itself was a little bit old, certainly some outdated furniture. It was nothing special in that regard. That said, $1,300 was the total cost to live there. Kyiv is basically like the New York City of Ukraine. You could say obviously it's the largest, most vibrant capital city. If you were to live in an apartment like that in New York City, I am sure it would cost you probably $7,000 to $8,000 a month, maybe more if you wanted to be in a place like Greenwich Village or Soho, somewhere around there in New York City. So we're looking at probably 20% of the cost as it would be in a major US city. Everything else was also cheaper while living there. Uber, for $5 to $8, you could go across the entire city. If you were going somewhere close and local, maybe 10 or 15 minute ride, it could be as low as little as $2 or $3. Just extremely inexpensive to get around. The metro, when I first moved to Ukraine, was 4 hryvnias, and at the time the exchange rate I think was 32, something around there. I can't quite remember. These days it's about 36, 37. I saw it down as low as 1 to 23, but basically it was a couple cents to ride the metro, and these days it's still no more than 25 cents. So very easy to get around. Parking was an absolute pain in the ass. If you lived in the central area, it wouldn't even necessarily be an advantage to have a car because you can walk almost everywhere you need. And a lot of these European cities, the way that they're laid out is they basically are copy and pasted districts. So District 1 is here, and then all the same stuff is also in District 2. So if you live in District 2 and you're fortunate enough to also work in District 2, you have everything that you possibly need in that one area. You don't have to worry about traversing across the city. Of course, if you're going to an office or you have a normal job, that might change. You might have to commute across the city, and that's obviously not very much fun. But in the case of most expats, most foreigners, most of us obviously were working online or had some sort of job in the center, and we also had the means to actually live in the center. So everything was cheaper. Like I said, restaurants, extremely affordable. You could go out and have a very nice meal for $10 a person. Even the most high-end restaurant, you could get out of there spending $40 to $50 a person, and that would even possibly include drinks. So everything was obviously less expensive. I've talked about this in a previous video, but when you go and Google, say, the average salary in Ukraine, a number that'll probably show up is like $400. That's not necessarily accurate, and the reason why is very simple, because that factors in laborers, that factors in villages, and that factors in all the people that don't speak English. So all of those people drag down the average median salary. Someone who speaks good English, has Western business sense, their average median salary is going to be quite a bit higher. So again, that $400 number is really dragged down by the people who don't speak English and the laborers, as well as the villages. In addition to that, groceries, I would say, is definitely something that was much less expensive out there if you were not earning in the local currency. So for example, if you were to say buy a pack of ground beef in the supermarket in Ukraine, you could get a kilo for about $6. And 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds. I was just in California recently, and at the lower bottom end grocery store, where I wouldn't say the food was bad there, but it certainly was not a premium kind of Whole Foods kind of place or anything of that sort. There it was about $5 for 1 pound. So basically in Ukraine, about $6 for 1 kilo, which is 2.2 pounds, and basically you're getting double. Something else that I really liked about living in Ukraine was being able to walk everywhere. And this is true almost in any European city. You're able to basically survive without a car. Maybe you have a bike that you kind of putt around with, but you can walk to the majority of places. You can walk to the bars, you can walk to the restaurants, you can walk to the grocery store, you can walk to the gym. All of that being so central is just a different way of life. And it's not that I hate driving. I actually do like driving. I don't have anything really against it. That said, in America, what you have to do is just kind of crazy. It's like every time you need anything, you have to go get in the car. You can't just walk across the street, walk into a store and get everything that you need, which to me kind of gets a little old over time when you have to get in the car for every little thing. For example, now I'm back in Europe, I simply walk to the gym, or I hop on a little 10-minute tram, or I ride a bike. It's 7 minutes away, a 30-minute walk. And in this case, if you have a car, then you can save the car for weekend adventures, going away, vacations, more leisure activities, as opposed to needing a car on a daily basis that you have to drive. The third thing I really liked about living in Ukraine was the food. I have found repeatedly that the quality of food in Europe and in Ukraine, you feel a lot different than you actually do in the United States. And I don't know what it is, but if you go and start looking at the list of banned ingredients in certain parts of the world and then compare them to what is allowed in America, you start to understand a little bit why people are so overweight in America and why people have so many problems with their health. I swear, if you're in the States and you're watching TV, every other commercial that you see is an ad for this medicine for this disease, this medicine for this affliction, whatever it might be. And of course, they've all got their side effects that likely cause other problems on top of the problem that you already have, right? So they sell you the solution, which causes another problem. I could make tons of videos going down these rabbit holes. I'm not going to bore you with that today. But the point is that walking, moving, and eating stuff that doesn't have a bunch of processed crap in it, your body will feel different and it will likely feel better. So that is something that I notice as soon as anytime I go back to the States, I start feeling a little bit in my gut, start feeling a little bit inflamed. Nothing really quite feels as good as being out in Europe, walking and eating right. The next thing I really liked about living in Ukraine was the people and the culture. So it's a little bit more of a traditional society, you could say. And again, I'm not going to go down these rabbit holes, but in this part of the world, people are not concerned about all the politics and all of the kind of silliness that currently is in the States. You're not going to see people arguing about that kind of nonsense. The reason why is very simple. It's because people tend to have real problems out here. So in the States, I think we've gotten pretty spoiled with the entertainment options, with the transit. Obviously, everybody has a car. Everybody has enough money so that if they don't have a struggle, they create the struggle, which is then kind of why you see so much political divide in the country. Whereas in Eastern Europe, and I'm not saying it's bad that these areas don't have as much means, they don't have the same money, but when people have real problems, they're not really worried about creating fake, stupid problems in order to entertain themselves. They're worried about getting through the day and spending good time with their family and ultimately enjoying their life. The summers in Ukraine are absolutely amazing. After everybody's been holed up for the entire winter, everybody's ready to get out and kind of go get some fresh air, see the flowers bloom, just enjoy a nice walk in the parks or around the city. And that is just one of the most indescribable vibes that that I could just never get enough of when I lived there. The sun would come up at 5 in the morning, beating into the apartment window. It would wake me up. I would get up anyway, and it wouldn't go down until 10 p.m. at night. And I tell you, they had some fantastic sunsets. It just is amazing at 10 o'clock when it's going down. It still looks a little like it's daytime, but it is something to behold, and having a whole summer of that every year was something I always really looked forward to. In conclusion, 5 things I enjoyed about living in Ukraine were: 1, the cost of living. I know I sound like a typical expat, but it is very true. 2, I enjoyed walking everywhere. 3, the food quality, noticeable difference. I've always felt better when living out in this part of the world. 4, the people and the culture. And 5, the amazing summers. Of course, the amazing summers were totally on the flip side, you know, you pay for the winters, but it is what it is, and that is what I enjoyed about living in Ukraine. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel, make sure you like it and leave a comment, and then make sure you check out the channel for other tips about hiring, scaling, and outsourcing your business to the best country in the world for that, and that is Ukraine. Go to hire-ua.com and the sales team will take care of you and let you know what we're all about. We can place any positions from project managers to architects to inbox managers to salespeople. Anything you need, anything your business needs, we are happy to help out. Hope you enjoyed this off-topic video and hope it provided some insight into this amazing country and the amazing people that make it up. Obviously, everything that's happened in the last year is beyond words. And like I said, I miss it every day. I wish I could go back, but HireUA is giving great opportunities to great people and they absolutely deserve it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.